Hello, welcome back to this little corner. I hope that you're having a good day today. I hope that you have been able to remember that God is in control of whatever you might be going through. Yesterday we were listening to Abide. I think that's like what the name of the podcast is, but they do children's bedtime stories. It's on Spotify. And we were listening to one of the episodes about Karis, and she was a caterpillar, and she walked through all of the stages of becoming a butterfly. And when she was just a little caterpillar, she had no idea that that was going to happen one day. And she talks about the chrysalis growing up around her, and just being in the dark and not knowing what was coming next. And then she talks about how the chrysalis began to break and how she was afraid of what was going on, and she thought that something awful was happening. And then finally it broke open, but she was falling, and she felt the Creator say, "Okay, Karis, it's time to fly." And she had no idea of what flying even meant, but she said that she felt this urge to stretch, and so she stretched out, and her wings began to flap, and she began to fly. And then she went back to her friends who were still caterpillars, and they were like, "Do you think that you're better than us now? Do you think that, like, what's going on with you? Why do you look this way? Whatever." And she was prideful about it. And then the Creator came to her and said, "Karis, your name means grace. You need to have grace for your friends in this in-between before their time comes to where they're going to change." And I feel like it just touched so many different areas of my heart and my life. And there were a few big areas. I think the first one was obviously change. I always thought that I was good with change. I would even tell people, like, I'm good with change. In the last video, I said that I'm pretty type B. And so I was always like, I'm like so go with the flow. Like, I love to travel. I love to adventure. I love to do spontaneous things, like all of that stuff. But all of those things were in my control. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could choose to be spontaneous, or I could choose to go on adventures, or I could choose to travel. I could plan for those things. I could, I was kind of the one who was doing all those things. They weren't coming as a surprise to me, but changes that I'm not ready for, or that I'm not in control of, which I understand, like, ultimately I'm not really in control at all. But I hope you understand what I'm saying by that. And those surprises that come in life, those hardships that come in life, those big moves, or friendships falling away, or relationship problems, or being a mom, it's like every day is different with the kids, and it's unpredictable. And so I used to be like, yeah, I'm great with change, and now I realize that I am not super great with change. It's like Karis, it's like she was in that, in those different phases of life that she didn't really understand. And there was a lot of fear involved in that. And I think one of the beautiful parts about that story is that the Creator knew, God knew, that those were scary times for her. And He wasn't telling her, sorry, Toby's crawling around under the chairs. you all know I have a metal table. I'm going to say this like in every video because it's probably going to be happening in every video, and I get so nervous with him. Let me lift this up so that he can see out the window. You happy now? Let me grab his book. But yeah, so the Creator knew that all of those things were scary for her. And he wasn't saying, oh, like, Karis, you're silly. Why, like, what's going through your head, whatever. But instead he was like, hey, just like listen and trust me. Trust me that I have created your life for this. And even though there are so many things that are unseen to you, I see all things. And I think it touched me that, like, he was so present within her fears and within her doubts during all of that change. And he was there to lead her and guide her through it. And I think a lot of times in my change, I'm just like, I feel very alone in it. But the Lord is reaching out to us all the time to trust him and to obey him and to lean into what he has for us. And I thought that this story was just such a great picture of that. Like, he told her to fly. She didn't even know what it meant to fly. But I think also God gives us natural instincts to do what he has created us for. So, like, for her, it was like, okay, fly. And she felt this urge to just stretch her wings. And then she was able to fly. And then she was able to identify, what really that even meant. And so I think the Lord calls us to do things a lot of times that don't make sense to us. That we may not even have, like, an understanding for what that means in our life. But we can trust him. God has brought me through so many different seasons in my life. And some that I was sure would break me. And to a certain extent, they broke the things that needed to be broken within me. But the Lord was able to repair and is still repairing all of those things. And he is so gracious to meet me where I am. And he's been so gracious to see that change is a scary thing. But to our human eyes. But he reaches out and he tells us to trust him. And we can. The testimony of so many believers and his word, which is true, and his spirit that moves within me in such a powerful way, even when I'm not necessarily willing to admit that it's a powerful way, all leads us to know that we can trust him. He is the creator God over everything, even the butterflies that have such an intricate process of becoming and transforming. And I mean, do you take the time to think about, like, a little caterpillar becoming a butterfly? Fascinating. That's just so amazing. And the God who does that with these seemingly beautiful but seemingly quote unquote like insignificant, they're not insignificant, but like the small insects of the world, he's doing something so much greater in our lives, and all of the things that he's doing in my life weave together with his purpose throughout all of history. So it's like, I can trust him. I can trust him. And even when change seems daunting, or when it comes unexpectedly, I can trust him. I can, period. And I hope that wherever you are in your journey, that you are finding growth in your process of learning to trust God, and that in the times that the fear is so much louder than your faith, that you're able to lean on His grace as He transforms you. Okay. I hope you all have a great day. Bye.